Overwhelmed with online, or just wanting to learn more about how you can build a successful business amidst all of the self-appointed gurus, big buzzwords and empty promises? The Breaking Digital podcast by Doyle Bueller tells you exactly what smart entrepreneurs need to know to escape the clutter, get clear of the confusion, and pass the bullshit of building and growing a successful business online. It's about digital leadership and delivering the best value for your business online to your audience. Now, here's your host and author of the book on digital leadership and online marketing, The Digital Delusion, Doyle Bueller.
Hello and welcome to Breaking Digital, the podcast for smart entrepreneurs wanting to become true digital leaders in their industry and to own online. I'm Doyle Bueller, and I am so excited to be bringing you a special guest today. I'm really looking forward to helping you learn more about what you can be doing online and helping you to do it better. And if you have any comments throughout the program, please feel free to connect on Twitter at Doyle Bueller with the hashtag #OwnOnline. You can also find the resources that we talk about, as well as the podcast for download on iTunes or thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. All right, let's get started. All right, hello and welcome to Breaking Digital. I'm Doyle Bueller, and today I've got a fantastic guest on business automation online, Bryan Palmer, who is coming to us from all the way from Virginia. And he's part of the Bryan Palmer Consulting Group, and his new company that he's launching is called brandspin.com. Welcome, Bryan. How are you today?
I'm doing well, Doyle. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, very, very welcome. So tell me a bit about yourself, Bryan.
Sure. So, I specialize, as you know, in automation. So my big thing is the whole automation aspect. I got into this stuff long time ago. So one of the things that started was in college. I was really hurting for some money, like most college kids are, and I ended up saying, okay, well, I'm going to launch a business. I knew a lot about cars. I'm a gearhead, and a lot of my clients know that. I've gone to racetracks with my clients, so it's a lot of fun. But I'm a huge gearhead, so I decided that around in college I was going to launch a business that helped people design, source, and blueprint out all of their performance engines. So pretty high tech stuff for a college kid, and I was pretty good at it. And,
excellent.
I launched that first business. Thought that was pretty cool. Ended up selling that to a partner who was a client of that business anyway. So that was my first real taste at business.
How long ago was that?
That was college. That would have been in 2000. I'm 30 years old now. I graduated college in 2008. So that would have been in 2006.
Okay. Excellent.
So that was the first thing. Yeah. And I'd always been business minded. I helped a friend of mine who went on to be a multimillionaire. We did an English muffin pizza business when we were about 10 years old on our block, where people would order it and then we'd run these English muffin pizzas down the street before they got cold to people, because it was 100% satisfaction guarantee. So I've always kind of had that business thing going.
Okay.
And then, a couple years back, decided to really take it to the next level with what I do.
Yeah. And so where are you now? What exactly are you doing?
So I've got Bryan Palmer Consulting, like you said. That stemmed with really the automation point. And then we are rebranding and launching a new company called Brandspin. And that comes from a former company that I launched. It was called Lounge Creative Group. And so we're adding on additional personnel and additional features. So, I started with the marketing. I held marketing jobs and sales jobs. I was one of the youngest guys to ever lead a full inside and outside sales team in the Washington, D.C. area for an IT company. So we did multi-million-dollar data center designs, everything for the federal and private sectors. And then we ended up, that was cool, but I always knew that, hey, I could probably do this a little bit better myself. But then I ended up having a couple more marketing jobs for multi-million-dollar companies where I would go in and help us figure out, okay, basically how can we get more customers? And then more importantly, how can we use the 80-20 rule and keep those customers? So right now, Bryan Palmer Consulting is going well. That really focuses on the automation using Infusionsoft, which is the CRM that I choose. And then we have Brandspin, which is also automation. It's digital marketing strategy. It is web design. We do social media and SEO management for clients. We can do graphic design, all that stuff. So it's really that all-inclusive digital agency. We even do API integration. So we'll custom build that stuff as well. So really all that our clients need, and that's what Brandspin is. And that's why that it became what it is, because we had clients that needed really everything that we offer.
Excellent. So can you tell us a bit about automation? Like, why would somebody use it? What's it for? What's it good for?
Sure. It's a great question. And I think a lot of people now, Doyle, I think they're scared of it. I think the
Definitely.
the digital strategy doesn't make sense to a lot of people. And the old, I'm going to create a website, if they build it, they will come kind of thing just doesn't work. And on the flip side, as you get people in there, you just don't have time to manage these. I mean, I've got clients managing 200,000 plus contact lists. And so automation, why you need to be doing it is because your competitors are doing it. And what it basically means is that when prospects or clients come to your website or come to your business with any kind of online presence, whether through Facebook, Twitter, your website, whatever the case is, that you can capture them with some kind of lead magnet, which we'll go over, and then also nurture them into being a paid customer. And you do that all automatically. That's what the automation is. So you don't have to be responding to all the emails. You don't have to be making sure that you're following up with these clients or these prospects. You don't have to do any of that. You can take them from point of entry to point of sale all automatically. And that's what we set up for people.
But why should I be using that?
So basically, to do it, I mean, you will find that everyone's starting to do that now, and the reason why people should be doing it, to put it simply, is because, I mean, the ROI, what you get out of it is just night and day. I've seen, we've got clients doing 300% increases in sales just this quarter, and so many people need to harness this because you have a lot of competition. So your clients, your prospects, their inboxes are getting flooded. They need to be, I guess the better way to put it is their attention span. We're all a little bit ADD when it comes to being online. I know I am. So when you look at that from a business perspective, and when the average person gets 147 emails in their inbox, and of course you're adding to that, but at the same time, you do it in a way where you're looking, okay, are people opening the emails? Are people clicking on things? This allows you to have a really, really good insight to what your customers and prospects are doing while you're sleeping. So, I work with a lot of clients all over the world. And the coolest thing I hear is that they'll wake up and they've got sales. They wake up in their inbox. Yeah,
It's always nice.
I mean, it's awesome. And that's the whole automation thing, is so you can be running around the clock when you're doing other things. So you're not letting your business run you, and you're seeing the rewards of that.
I understand obviously the use of automation for, automating obviously some of those sort of mundane processes, but do you sort of lose the value of that connection, the value of that contact that might go like, oh, well, this is just kind of an email robot type thing?
Yeah, and you absolutely can. And that's another awesome question. I also work, so clients of mine, and this is one of those things that I've really had to put my foot down. Most of the time now, if a client comes to me and they want to be 100% automated and they never want to check it, they never want to reach out and be present in their business, I'm probably not the right guy for you. And I say that because exactly what you said, so what we'll do is we'll design these systems where the system automatically takes a contact from, point A until the time where you probably need to reach out. And we work a lot with sales teams. So we'll actually automate the sales team process. So you're not calling a cold lead when they're still cold. You're calling the cold lead when they're warm or they're hot. And so, the same thing too. We can even put, notifications or tasks for our clients to, hey, go in, post a social media blog, go in and do this, go in and do this. And so, you still have to be a little bit hands-on with your business so that you don't lose that, because people are smart. And if you're just constantly sending out a bunch of these automated robot-like emails, then you're going to lose that touch. We also do something which is actually pretty cool, and I work with clients to do this, and it's just the plain text, 9-word email. And you can stylize these emails, and I'll get them when I test, and I'll think it's the client actually sending something to me when I'm the one that actually developed it. So one of the ways that you can keep that personal touch, or so to speak, is by sending a plain text, non-branded email that just says, hey, first name, I just wanted to check and see how you're doing, let me know, kind of thing, right? And those get huge responses. So you can actually incorporate that into your automation. So it's kind of pattern interrupt. But yeah, it is definitely a slippery slope if you do it constantly and you're not timing things right and you're just blasting like everybody else does, then the personal touch is gone. But if you're there for your business, whether it's on new blogs, the social media aspect, then people will start to associate more of your content with you and not with automation, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. So there's obviously a balance, and for, businesses that are just starting up, perhaps they feel that, they should automate 100% of it. Where's the balance point then in terms of, okay, for a startup business as compared to, a multinational corporation, what should they be doing in terms of automation and conversation and communication?
Sure. And I think that really comes down to what they're doing, what the business is, if they're selling goods, if they're selling products or services, whatever the case is. So we actually look at each business from a customized standpoint and say, okay, you guys are selling services. So you're going to have to reach out and have a sales team touch these people at the right times. So that's obviously going to be different than if somebody's selling sunglasses online, where the buyer can go through the entire process and not have any personal touch. And that's fine. So really, finding that happy medium is just identifying, okay, what are we selling? What's our goal? And if the goal is to sell, say, sunglasses, then you can create that being 100% automated. What I would then do is that after the sale, you add that personal touch, whether it be a thank you video, whether it be a phone call to somebody, which is not really that feasible as you grow, but you can definitely find ways to keep the personal touch while keeping it automated. And when I say it's not 100% automated, what I mean is that you still have to be around. So my clients, I'll always make sure that they're recording videos, new content, all that stuff. It's not necessarily saying that they all have to reach out to every single prospect at some point in time. That's not the case. Like I said, we do a lot with sales guys. So the sales team will go through and we'll say, okay, this is what you guys are selling. Here's the end goal, whether it's to sell on the first call or whether it's just to set up that consultation. So we can find that happy medium for when to automate and when not to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So developing these, what you might call or consider touch points, how do you actually map that out? Like do you just, where do you start from mapping out these touch points to say, okay, I should have an automation point here, here, and here, and this is where I should sort of connect with that person?
So awesome question. Again, that's really audience specific. So one of the better examples that I can give is that I had a client who specializes in fitness programs for mothers. And we did some research on that because a lot of what we do at BrandSpin is also not only just the automation, but we're going to do the research with you to figure out who your competitors are and then what to do. And one of the things that we found is that most mothers or expecting mothers read their emails at about 9 p.m. And we then took it a couple steps further, and then just basically with the email stuff that we know, Mondays and Fridays, not the best. Tuesdays, we get the biggest response rate, and Thursdays. So we set just the emails to go out Tuesdays and Thursdays, evening time for these clients. So everything really needs to be business specific. If you just grab a cookie cutter template and you don't change the timing, you don't try to know your customers more, then you're going to fail. But if you actually look at who you're targeting, where you're targeting, same thing too. If we're looking at a client that has customers in the US or Australia, we'll have two different points or two different pathways, one for the US, one for Australia. Then we might even segment it even further down and have time zones. So you really want to learn your customers, know what they're doing and know when to touch them. And then at the same time, know the basics of marketing. Tuesdays at 11 a.m. normally is the best time to send out an email, historically speaking. The stats just support that's the time. Mondays are some of the worst times. So if you know a little bit of that and know your customers, then you can be really successful with your automation points.
And so should I ask these questions of my customer too? I find that a lot of times we sort of make a lot of assumptions with online and marketing and strategy and that sort of thing. So how do you recommend we actually find this information out? Yes, there's obviously generics, well, maybe not generic, but studies that we can take a look at that tell us this type of thing, but should we be asking the customer?
Yeah, essentially. Now you don't want to say, okay, customer, what time would you like to read my emails? I mean, obviously that's that gets a little granular there, but yeah, through surveys, a lot of clients will work with them and we'll do a survey, essentially like a case study before they even launch their website. So we know what their customers or their prospects want to read and what they want to learn about. And then we'll create the marketing around that. So yeah, definitely ask them. It's the same thing with surveys, after the sale. You can also do things before the sale. So when people come in, you can ask them, hey, I really want to cater my services, my information to you. What would you like to learn about? And so you can help segment your marketing that way, which is the, segmented marketing, and you can learn by what they're doing. Now, with automation though, you don't always have to ask them. And that's kind of the cool thing about it. You can have links and certain things to track inside of emails and inside of your communication, so that as long as you're looking at that data, you can set it up to where you'll be notified or you'll be able to pull up some data supporting what people are doing. And so maybe if you have one email that goes out and you're selling Samsung or iPhone, and someone clicks on Samsung, well, obviously that's probably what they own. So you want to put them up into a Samsung sequence instead of an iPhone, but you're not asking them, you're just doing it by their actions. So yes, you can physically ask them, but at the same time, you can also use your marketing and segment them automatically. And you're asking them technically, but you're not flat out asking them or having them fill out some kind of form.
Right. It's more of sort of seeing what they do and how they do it and analyzing that specifically.
Exactly. And that's, a lot of people they don't do that. A lot of people have the one size fits all. They think that, okay, we're going to have an entry point, then we're going to send people 7 emails and then we expect them to buy. And, probably about 3% of your customers are really going to buy. Especially within that 7 email kind of sequence. So if you just have that cookie cutter one size fits all thing, without trying to customize it to your business, your customers, your industry, then you're not going to be as successful as you could be.
Yeah, no, true. In terms of starting a sequence and automation process and that sort of thing, what do you recommend we start? Because a lot of businesses out there, it's like you're told, well, you need an email list and you need an automation system and all that kind of stuff. How do you say, this is my starting point? I perhaps, don't have an email list, or I don't have an automation sequence. Like, how do we start, and how do you kind of go over this fact that you don't have anything to start with? So
Sure. Yeah. And a lot of clients come to us, and one of the questions that we ask is, hey, do you have an existing client list? A lot of times we'll get no. That's totally cool. A lot of people also don't really have a budget to go out and grab them. So obviously, pay-per-click, running ads, running traffic, that's the quickest way to build a list. But a lot of people forget that SEO is not dead. You can pull people just from your website. So if you have a good blog that's dynamic, if you have good content on your pages, you can start pulling in that organic traffic. The place to start is obviously you have to capture those people. So whether you're running just organic traffic to your website or whether you're running paid traffic, it's all the same thing. They go to the same spot and you need to give them something. So every business needs to be in the spirit of giving. And if you're not, your competitors are, so they're going to take that. Usually I try to do a 7-to-1 ratio. And what that means is that we're giving content. So, it's possible as soon as someone gets in that they're going to get 7 emails before we offer any paid kind of product. So what we'll do with the clients is, say they're a car detailing business, right? Then one of the lead magnets could be sign up and get the 10 best ways to keep your car looking fantastic this summer and get 15% off your next service with us. Something like that, where people have to sign up. They're giving you something, but they need to get something in return. And never, ever, ever, ever just have a list that says sign up for our newsletter. That is the biggest saturated term that I still see.
We see that so often still.
Oh, it's like awful because as soon as people hear or see the word newsletter, they cringe.
Yeah.
They cringe. And really what you want to be doing is you want to have your lead magnet, and then you want to have a box so they can check if they want the communication. But at the same time, if they are signing up to get whatever your lead magnet is, then you can put them into a short-term nurture sequence that builds on that. So maybe if you have 10 ways to keep your car looking wonderful, using the car detailing, analogy, then you could have maybe a 10 email sequence that takes each of those 10 topics and elaborates on them even more. Then at the end of that 10-day sequence, if they haven't been in, or and you can track this. So if they haven't taken advantage of their 15% off coupon, you can send them a reminder for that. So whatever the case is, and then of course you can list out all your products and services. But yeah, everything has to be catered to your business. Sometimes it's just a free consultation. And a lot of people, they think that, oh, I'm selling this $1 million product. I'm just going to put a free consultation on here and people will come. Well, that's not always the case because they're not educated. They don't want to give you their time if they don't know enough about what you're doing, especially at a higher price point. So yeah, lead magnets are huge. You got to do that. I always recommend then having people go in and confirm their email. And a lot of people will say, well, why, Bryan? That means lower rates. And absolutely it does. If people opt in to get your free stuff, then you want them to confirm their email. And if they don't, then you don't want them anyway because they're not that interested in you. And then this goes back to kind of, okay, do we deliver the free lead magnet on the thank you page or do we do it via email? And that's probably a whole different discussion. Most of the time, though, I use gated content. Gated meaning that it's behind an email. They have to confirm it. Now, there are times and places for non-gated content where you can put it on the thank you page. It really depends on what you're offering. But, lead magnet, getting the traffic in, lead magnet, confirming their email, and then having some sort of short-term nurture sequence. Those are the first three things that people can really do to start using automation and to see the benefits of it. And then, of course, you can grow and scale out as you need to.
Oh, excellent. Excellent. Could you repeat those three things again?
Yeah. So obviously, the traffic doesn't really count necessarily as one of the three things. So you'd have a lead magnet, and you'd have an email confirmation sequence, and then you'd have the short-term nurture. So email or, lead magnet, email confirmation, short-term nurture. And the email confirmation, I actually include that as one of the steps because it's not just, hey, one email, confirm your email. You can also have, 3 or 4 reminders. Usually I only do about 3. You can offer things in there and you can keep them engaged and have a better email confirmation sequence, which is part of then your short-term nurture. So I kind of, put those separately, but still include that.
So in terms of getting these things started and set up though, like Infusionsoft, sort of the CRM that you work with, there's that's sort of like the granddaddy of them all. Where can someone start if they just kind of want to get started? And, are there sort of certain steps that they can take without sort of launching into something as sophisticated as Infusionsoft? Because actually, just a quick story. I was actually introduced to Infusionsoft back in 2003, I think 2004. When did they start?
Yeah, probably around then.
Yeah, it was for one of my earlier e-commerce businesses, and we had developed our own customized automation system. But the fact was that I still remember these guys, trying to set this up back then, which is fantastic. They've made some tremendous growth. The problem I see, or the challenge for a lot of small businesses and service-based businesses, is that they don't have that sort of that scope to say, hey, let's put this in place, because they don't have the sophistication of the processes and the nurture sequences and all that. So is there kind of a starting step that they can take?
Yes and no. People can definitely use other systems. Something like a MailChimp that just basically kind of gives you an email list, and then you can keep track of them that way. But when you look at your business, if you're a business and you're online, you can really benefit from the automation. And if you don't have anything in place yet, strategy speaking, then we can help you develop that. So yeah, you can start, Infusionsoft, for example, too, has different levels. So you can start with the lower package and then you can work up from there. And, if you're putting in the time and the resource and you're working with someone like us, we're going to walk you through everything that you need to do. But in some cases, we have had consultations with prospective clients and we've told them that, hey, you're not there yet. So, do this, and this, and then contact us in a couple months and we'll see if you are there. Then of course we put them in that automated nurture sequence like I preach. But yeah, definitely people can start from the ground up. But at the same time, once you start, if you're invested in it and you really trust in the system, your ROI will be within the first month or 2. I mean, it really should be. And if it's not, then you need to reevaluate what you're doing and how you're doing it. But there are products out there like the MailChimps, Aweber's, cheaper, that you can do, but they're just not as robust as Infusionsoft in terms of what you can do. And quickly, if you're doing things right, you'll probably find the need to have something like an Infusionsoft just to really kick it into high gear and take that to the next level.
Excellent. What other competitive products would be with Infusionsoft?
I've used Entreport, ActiveCampaign. We use Aweber sometimes. Those are really the ones I've used. I've used HubSpot once. HubSpot is super expensive. It's really geared for larger companies. But yeah, those are the two. I've got most of the times what we'll do is I find ourselves we're migrating people from Entreport to Infusionsoft. So I've gotten a lot of experience with Entreport. I have done one of those reversed. So I have used that before. And I find that Infusionsoft is great for me because I'm more of the artistically creative type person, and Infusionsoft lays things out in a visual, aspect. That's what I love. And when I go into these other systems and I can't see a sequence or I can't see where people are throughout the actual nurturing process, I hate that. So that's one of the things that I love about Infusionsoft. But yeah, there are definitely other things that you can get into there.
In terms of some of the examples that you gave were sort of e-commerce product based nurturing sequences and purchase buying sequences and that sort of thing. As a lot of listeners are sort of the professional services, franchise type businesses, what would you recommend they do for a consulting service or medical or something like that, where it's not really tangible until you kind of get into the office and do a discovery or something like that?
So those, yeah, that's kind of a lot of how we do with the sales teams. So Infusionsoft is super awesome for actually automating your sales pipeline. So if you're selling something where you need a meeting set up or you need some kind of demo before you can actually make the sale, like I'm working with a software company out of Brazil right now. We're doing exactly that. So we're setting up these sequences and this automation to first capture the person's interest and then nurture them, give them information about what they do. And the goal right now, our short-term goal, is for them to set up a demo. Once that happens, then someone in the office gets notified. They reach out to that person to schedule a demo, or of course they can schedule that demo automatically using something like Appointment Core, Time Trade. There's a lot of these different systems that actually integrate with calendars, and then you can do that. So I think Infusionsoft is the best hands down for that. Now I've used Salesforce, which obviously is wonderful for the CRM portion, but there's really no automation. So that was what we used for our old IT company before we made the switch over to automation. So Salesforce is going to be the best for just managing your contacts, and a lot of sales companies use that. But then Infusionsoft is just freaking amazing for the automation that can come around that, and you can create these really cool sales pipelines where a specific person in the office can be notified at a specific time, and then the goal is to get that meeting, the demo, whatever the case is.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of lead magnet would a services type business use?
So a lot of them do. Yeah. A lot of them do use a free consultation. I don't think it works that well depending on what the price point is. But say, for example, you are selling data centers. So I used to sell those. So we would design it, and these things were like $3 million to the FBI or Department of Justice. So it was pretty crazy stuff. But yeah, lead magnet wise, if you were going to automate that business right now, then what you would do is look at your core offerings. So one of the things that we use specific software. We use NetApp, Cisco, and VMware. Those were our proprietary 3 softwares. Now, there were other things like Dell, HP that offer data centers as well. So what we would do is we would create these documents that would highlight the benefits, and it'd be like checkboxes, infographics, ebooks, whatever the case is, but they would highlight the differences and the benefits over a NetApp system versus a comparable HP or Dell system. So right then and there, because you're talking with engineers, and that goes back to just knowing your audience. You're talking with system admins, network engineers, CIOs. So your audience needs to be very technical based, and you need to be able to outline, okay, this is what it is. So you could create your lead magnet just that. So here, download download this ebook and see the benefits of our solution over anything else. And then of course you kind of go into the meat and potatoes of that particular offer. But yeah, you can definitely do that. Just knowing your product. If you're a travel agency and you want someone to book a trip through you can just have something where it's like sign up and see the 10 coolest trips in the US, something like that gets people really excited and gives them instant value and keeps them excited, because the travel agent will have a different emotional connection to somebody than the data center, lead magnet will. So you have to just really know what you're doing.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a good example too, is you want to sort of nurture them, feed them into that context where then you can communicate with them more directly, that sort of thing. So if you select a lead magnet, it has to be very, very relevant to sort of that outcome that you want, or that discovery process that you're trying to educate them and that sort of thing. So go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was just going to add to that, the lead magnet, your email creation, all of that stuff, so many people just take that for granted. They just come up with the first quick 10-point list. They put it in Word and they stick it in a PDF and they think that that's going to really work. The same thing with emails. I usually tell clients take 10 days, or if we're doing content for a client, we take 10 days at least. And that is so that we can get in the mindset of the customer. You can create your lead magnet based on what you feel. Because this is your first impression, and you have one shot to make a first impression. And if someone gets really excited and they then get an email with their lead magnet and it sucks, well, do you think they're going to download or do anything from you again? No. It's a simple answer. So yeah, you gotta be careful with that, and you really have to know what you want to do.
What's the weirdest lead magnet you've ever seen?
Man, the weirdest one. I actually did one recently where I downloaded, and I won't name any names here. I downloaded the 200 best ways to market your business. And I got really excited thinking, hey, this is going to be cool. I want to see the 200 ways. This is a lot of stuff.
Right.
Literally. And I'm not even kidding. And Doyle, I can send you this offline too, just so you know. It was literally a just Word document with a list of 200 things, but no descriptions, no nothing. So like number one, for example, was like SEO. That was it. SEO. That was it.
Open a business, get an email.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Number two was build website, something like that. And it was the most, underwhelming thing.
Yeah.
So immediately I opened that same email that delivered the e-magnet and I unsubscribed. And that's just what we face, because again, everyone's kind of ADD, which is not a bad thing. There's just a lot of competition. So if you're going to do a lead magnet, do a lead magnet, get them in, over deliver. And then of course, give them other stuff too that they didn't even ask for that can really help get them on their way. Because if they're able to start getting either motivated or understand the benefits of what you do, or even see results immediately after they read or do whatever it says in your lead magnet, well, where do you think they're going to come next time they have a question? You.
Yeah, to you.
Exactly.
That's the whole point of a nurture sequence, is to educate people, entertain them, give them that impetus to say, hey, I know who you are now, and I'll be able to work with you, or whatever the case may be.
Exactly. And it might not be the same day. It might not be the same month. But if you do your job and you're patient, then, and you keep top of mind, then yeah, people are going to come. We had a client that did an infographic. It was a printable infographic that people could just obviously print out, one 8.5 by 11 page that was designed. We actually designed it for them. People would print it. Someone called them 6 months later and said, hey, I was looking for this solution. I looked on my desk. I saw your infographic. I decided to call you. And that was probably a $20,000 deal they got from that.
Oh, excellent.
So yeah, you just never know, but you can't call that prospect dead. They're in the long-term sequence at that point, and you never know when they're going to wake up and say, hey, I need you. So yeah, it's super important to have really good content there all throughout the entire process.
Yeah, no, for sure. And what would you describe as the best ever lead magnet that you've ever seen or produced, or that sort of thing?
Yeah. So really hands down, it's Brendon Burchard's.
Okay.
And a lot of people listening to this, a lot of people in the, online marketing world, you're going to know that name. He's amazing. He's more of the professional, development and making sure that you're the best you can be, but you can sign up and you can get his free video courses, and they are good. They are well done. The production quality is top notch, and the information, I actually watched that years ago, and I launched my first business on Brendon Burchard's lead magnet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's been doing it for a long time, but
Yeah.
You can really do it by, and I still look at his stuff. I still am engaged. I'm an engaged reader of what he does, because he really helps motivate me to be a better entrepreneur and to deliver better for my clients. So that's hands down the best.
Excellent. And do you take that, learning and sort of apply it into what you do on a regular basis then?
Yeah. So Brandspin, for example, we're actually working on something very similar to that. So we're going to do video series, and what this is going to be is essentially a 7-part series on how to launch your business, starting from the website design and layout all the way through to automation and then after the sale. So this is going to be a really cool video series. It's going to be me. I've got the whiteboard and the video studio all set up. It's going to be super cool. But yeah, it's going to be really high depth, and it's going to be a lot of the information that I give my clients, and it's all going to be free. So hopefully people that come in, they're going to sign up, or, the website's almost done. We're going to, they're going to sign up for that. They're going to go through this. They're going to get a lot of value, and hopefully they'll become clients of ours, and we can work in partner with them to grow their business. But if not, they come away using these videos as a way to really grow their business. Because even if they don't do business with us at the end of the day, but they're still successful because of something we put out, hey, that's kind of a win-win, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a very good point, is that a lot of this is sort of that long game, right? You can't actually set these up very, very quick. Well, you can, but you're not going to get the results. So the other thing to consider is don't expect to have like a Brendon Burchard process from the beginning. And I think that's where a lot of businesses get stuck, is like they see a lot of these funnels and they see a lot of these services, and they're very sophisticated. So in my mind, I believe it sort of is quite intimidating, because they're not sure where to start, and they don't know what to do next, and they're expecting this perfection. And in my world, it's prolific beats perfect. It's, you have to get it out there. You have to start, and even if you start with a MailChimp sequence and use that for a couple months until you kind of understand that process of your business, then you can kind of add things and add the videos and that sort of thing. So
yeah. And a lot of people, they're the Brendon Burchards, the Frank Kerns, the Tony Robbins of the world. I mean, they spent years building their audience. And so many people think, and again, you can have really quick sales cycles. If you have a $7 tripwire, for example, yeah, that can be just right then and there, upon the opt-in. But yeah, just position yourself and understand that, you don't make $1 million overnight. The first time that one of my business cracked the mid 6-figure range, I mean, I was ecstatic, right? I mean, that was the hardest part. Growing from there was easy, but that took, a couple years for us to position ourselves to consistently deliver 6-figure results to clients. And of course, it was a little disheartening, because when I first signed up, I was super excited, and I'd constantly refresh my inbox and see what's going on. So the first week, I was like, man, I thought I have 100,000 listeners by now, or viewers. It just doesn't happen. So
Take some time.
Position yourself for that long game, but at the same time, you can have, if any business comes though, Doyle, and their whole sales strategy is the long game, well, then they're probably not going to survive. So that's also where the strategy comes into play of, low, mid to high tier products, because the sales cycles for those are obviously much different depending on what they are. So, your big high tier main product might take 6 months, but you can have smaller tripwire type products, within the $10 to $100 range that people might buy within the first couple days. So it's definitely something where you can, kind of look at that broad spectrum.
Yeah, excellent point. And you have to be able to manage that, and making sure that you have those tools in place and those products in place with, a complete ecosystem. So you can't just be focusing on that single business and expect that to, especially if it's a high ticket item, expect that to be selling right away. So in that case, yeah, what you're suggesting is have like specific tiers of differently priced products to kind of lead those people into that commerce type of activity.
Yeah, definitely. And then of course, know what they're doing. If someone, and this is the amazing thing. And, my wife hates this term, but I use it all the time. This is kind of where I geek out, because I'm a total automation nerd. I'm not even afraid to admit it, but you can do it. So where, if somebody is going through your nurture sequence and they click on something that is of interest, and then they don't purchase within, say, 30 minutes, you can then drop them more emails asking them to finish the purchase, or asking if they have any questions. And there's that kind of service, that kind of follow-up will really help increase your sales conversions. And, most of the people don't even think to do that. They just, wait for the sales to come in, and they're not doing any segmentation. They're not following up with people with what they click on. And that's what people need right now.
Excellent advice. So in terms of all of the automation and everything that is coming out at us, like how do we sort of not necessarily play it safe, but understand that, you know what, there's a lot of overwhelm potentially out there. How do we kind of reduce that clutter in our own sequences or in our own audience, or how do we sort of define how we stand out differently from our competitors?
And, the answer is one word, and that's quality. That comes down to your content. The same thing. I get a ton of emails every day. It's just probably the same as you do, Doyle. A ton of emails. But, going back to Brendon Burchard's, I open his because I know the content is there. And if you start to have people associate you with quality content that delivers high value and just really, really kind of hits you in the face with awesomeness, then people are going to look at that, But if you just think, okay, I'm going to do a 30-day sequence and I'm going to email someone once every day for 30 days and each email is going to have 2 sentences of motivational speak, no one's going to care.
Yeah.
And, and they're going to stop. But instead, if you position yourself outside of the fluff, because I guarantee you, if someone is on your list, they're probably on your competitors because people shop around. So, one, get on your competitors' lists. That's one good piece of advice. Get on that list, see what everybody else is doing and do it better. And then 2, make sure that you're taking those 10 days to really focus on your content, your lead magnets, your videos, everything. Make sure that every piece of content, whether it's a lead magnet, a Facebook post, an email that you send out, that it kicks butt. And, if you do that, then people will start to associate you and your company with quality. They'll start opening things, and then you'll slowly find yourself rising to the top.
Yeah, excellent. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, is delivering that value that connects intrinsically with your audience. And if it doesn't, then you kind of have to take a look at, well, what am I actually delivering? Is it of value? Perhaps it's not. So maybe take a look at, your overall strategy and how you're planning things out and how you're connecting with your audience. So,
and then of course, with the automation, you can put tags and automation actions after each email. So if somebody opts out of an email, then they won't receive the next tag. So right then and there, which emails in your sequence are performing better than others. So there's so many amazing just tips and tricks and strategies that we use with clients that help them better understand their business. And automation is not to just, become further away from your business. It's actually to help you get to know it better. And this is exactly how we do it.
Excellent. So what you're saying is that you can really analyze what's going on with your business by having automation.
And you should. And if you're not, then you're not doing right by your business, because if you're putting this stuff all in place, or your customers for that matter, if you're putting all this stuff all in place and then you're not looking at the results, you're not looking at the data that's clear right in front of your face, then what are you doing? You want to be successful, clearly. So you're here, you're automating your business, you have a business. Don't you want it to run like it's, cooking with oil? And I think everybody does. So that's when everybody has to go in and say, okay, clearly something's missing between email 3 and 4, or something's missing between this particular process. What can we improve upon, and then do it and measure those results and see if they worked? So it's kind of the same thing with like split testing, kind of the same deal there.
Yeah. Fantastic. Really, really enjoyed the conversation, Bryan.
Cool. Me too. Thanks. Yeah. I could talk for hours about this stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, no, me too. Well, in closing, what's sort of that one tip or one piece of advice that you would recommend people to sort of get out there and get shit done?
Yeah. So, the main thing is don't be scared of failure. Everybody is. Someone's going to sit and hover over the post button for hours. Should I post this tomorrow? And, be yourself, be different, but also be driven. So, if you have a business idea, you have something that can help somebody, know that. So every time you doubt yourself, whether it's, doing an email or whether it's putting a video out on YouTube, every time you doubt yourself, just remember that your product or service can help somebody or can help some company. And then that right there should push you through across that finish line and just to get it done. You're not going to reach the end of the race without going past the start line.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Really excellent advice, Bryan. And for our listeners, Bryan and I, we're actually going to be hosting a automation webinar coming up in the next little while, where we're going to actually sort of take these specific ideas, these strategies, and help you build an actual plan.
Aren't we possibly even going to blueprint some of those out on the webinar?
Absolutely, yeah.
This is going to be cool.
I can't wait.
It's going to be really cool, because then, a lot of the stuff that we're talking about now, we can actually kind of show what that stuff looks like in something like Infusionsoft, and you can see what that automation is actually gonna look like. It's gonna be really cool.
Yeah, no, fantastic. Looking forward to it. All right, well, thank you very much, Bryan. Really appreciate it. Your time and your insight and your ideas in terms of digital marketing, automation, that sort of thing. So thanks again, Bryan. Bryan Palmer from Bryan Palmer Consulting and Brandspin.
Thank you. Yeah, anytime. Just let me know what else you need.
All right. Thanks, Bryan.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Thank you very much for listening to Breaking Digital, the podcast for smart entrepreneurs wanting to become true digital leaders in their industry and to own online. If you have any comments on the program, please feel free to connect on Twitter @DoyleBuehler with the hashtag #OwnOnline. I would really appreciate it if you could share this podcast with your network, as I'm sure they will get some value from it for building their successful business online as well. You can find the resources that we talked about, as well as the transcript and full podcast for download on thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast or on iTunes or on SoundCloud. I'm Doyle Buehler, and I will see you online.
Thank you for listening to Breaking Digital with Doyle Buehler. While he goes and makes a sandwich, you can find all of the notes, links, and details on this podcast by visiting thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. Go on and click that now. www.thedigitaldelusion.com/podcast. I'll definitely click that. If you'd like a free copy of the book, The Digital Delusion, How to Overcome the Misguidance and Misinformation Online, just send an email to doyle@thedigitaldelusion.com. See you online.